Beverly Hills, California. Spago Restaurant, 1114 Horn Avenue. Friday evening, October 28th, 1988, 8:45 p.m. The restaurant represents everything glamorous about Hollywood dining. Exposed brick walls displaying artwork by David Hockney and Jasper Johns. Open kitchen where Wolfgang Puck creates culinary masterpieces, and clientele that reads like a who's who of entertainment industry royalty. Tonight's crowd includes directors planning their next projects, producers celebrating successful deals, agents negotiating multi-million-dollar contracts, and stars maintaining the social connections that keep careers thriving. The atmosphere mixes sophisticated dining with calculated networking, where every conversation could influence someone's professional future. At a corner table partially shielded from the main dining room, Mike Tyson sits with his wife, Robin Givens. Mike, 22 years old, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, wears a simple, dark suit that can't quite contain the violence rippling beneath the civilized exterior. Robin, stunning in designer dress, represents Mike's attempt to integrate into high society, to prove that boxing success can translate into mainstream acceptance. Their marriage has been tumultuous, complicated by Mike's street background, Robin's social ambitions, and the constant pressure of living under media scrutiny. Tonight represents one of their rare peaceful evenings, an attempt to enjoy normal couple activities away from boxing gyms, training camps, and championship pressures. Mike cuts his steak with careful precision, his movements controlled and deliberate, despite hands designed for delivering devastating punishment. The contrast is striking. A man capable of knocking out opponents in seconds, focusing intently on proper dinner etiquette, trying to master social skills that don't come as naturally as boxing technique. "This is nice," Robin says softly, appreciating the temporary absence of chaos that usually surrounds their public appearances. "Just the two of us. No cameras, no interviews, no pressure." Mike nods, savoring both the food and the normalcy. "Maybe we should do this more often. Get away from all the boxing stuff. Just be regular people for a while." Their conversation is interrupted by the approach of Brandon Cross, Hollywood's current golden boy. 6'1", 185 pounds of personal trainer-sculpted physique, wearing an Armani suit that costs more than most people's cars. His presence immediately shifts the restaurant's energy. Conversations pause, heads turn, people reach for cameras. Brandon represents everything that Hollywood fame can provide. 3 consecutive blockbuster action films have made him one of the industry's highest-paid stars. His face graces magazine covers monthly. His personal life generates constant tabloid coverage. He dates supermodels, owns houses in Malibu and Aspen, and commands the kind of respect that comes with box office success. But Brandon's fame has created dangerous delusions about his actual capabilities. Playing action heroes has convinced him that he possesses the courage and toughness his characters display. Surrounded by people who treat him like the warrior he portrays on screen, Brandon has lost sight of the difference between acting tough and being tough. Tonight, Brandon notices Mike Tyson dining quietly and sees an opportunity to demonstrate his real-world toughness to the restaurant's celebrity crowd. In Brandon's mind, Mike is just another athlete, probably intimidated by Hollywood glamour. Definitely less important than movie stars who generate hundreds of millions in revenue. Brandon approaches Mike and Robin's table with the confident swagger of someone accustomed to being the most important person in any room. His movement draws attention from across the restaurant. Diners pause their conversations, servers slow their service. Everyone senses that something significant is about to occur. "So," "You're the famous Mike Tyson," Brandon announces loudly enough for half the restaurant to hear. "I have to say, you look a lot less intimidating without boxing gloves. Must be nice playing tough guy for the cameras." The restaurant doesn't go completely silent. Too much ambient noise, too many ongoing conversations, but the energy shifts noticeably. People recognize both men, understanding that Hollywood royalty just challenged boxing royalty in front of witnesses who will remember this interaction for years. Robin's face tenses immediately, recognizing the dangerous shift in Mike's posture. She's seen this transformation before, the moment when Mike's civilized exterior gives way to something much more primitive and dangerous. Her hand moves instinctively to Mike's arm, hoping to prevent escalation. Mike sets down his knife and fork carefully, wipes his mouth with the cloth napkin, and looks up at Brandon with the calm attention he once gave opponents during pre-fight instructions. Not angry, not offended, just completely present and aware. "Excuse me?" Mike's voice carries that distinctive high pitch and slight lisp that somehow makes him more intimidating rather than less. Brandon grins, interpreting Mike's calm response as evidence that his assessment was correct. The feared heavyweight champion is just another athlete intimidated by real celebrity power. "I said you look less scary in person. I've seen your fights on TV, very impressive for sports entertainment. But this is the real world, where fame and money matter more than how hard you can punch people." Robin attempts diplomatic intervention. "Brandon, we're just trying to have a quiet dinner. Perhaps you could—" But Brandon cuts her off, his attention focused entirely on Mike. "Don't worry, sweetheart. I'm not here to cause trouble. Just wanted to meet the famous fighter everyone's talking about. See if the hype matches reality." Mike considers Brandon's words, studying the actor with the kind of assessment he once gave opponents to identify weaknesses, patterns, psychological vulnerabilities that could be exploited when violence became necessary. "Would you like to see how intimidating I am?" The question carries across the restaurant like a challenge, which is exactly how Brandon interprets it. Having made his move public, backing down would undermine his reputation in front of the entertainment industry elite who are watching this interaction unfold. "What, you want to fight me?" Brandon laughs, playing to his audience. "This is Beverly Hills, not some boxing ring. We settle disputes with lawyers and publicists here, not fists." Mike stands slowly from his chair, his movement controlled and deliberate. The size difference becomes apparent. Brandon has 2 inches on Mike, but Mike's presence fills space in a way that height measurements can't capture. Something about his posture suggests that physical advantages mean less than Brandon assumes. "I don't want to fight you," Mike says calmly. "I want to show you something about the difference between playing tough and being tough." Restaurant staff notice the developing tension immediately. Waiters begin positioning themselves to intervene if necessary. The maître d' approaches cautiously, prepared to defuse the situation before it damages Spago's reputation as a civilized dining establishment. But Mike's approach is unexpectedly subtle. Instead of physical confrontation, he simply extends his hand toward Brandon as if offering a handshake. "Feel this," Mike says quietly. Brandon hesitates, uncertain about Mike's intention but unable to refuse, without appearing weak in front of the watching crowd. He extends his own hand, expecting a normal handshake that will end this bizarre encounter. Mike's grip is controlled, not crushing, but absolute. Brandon immediately understands that his hand is completely immobilized, that Mike could apply whatever pressure he chooses, and that 15 years of personal trainer workouts provide no defense against someone whose hands are designed as weapons. "This is what intimidating feels like," Mike says quietly, his voice carrying only to Brandon. I'm not squeezing hard, I'm barely trying. But you can't move your hand, can't pull away, can't do anything except hope I decide to let you go. Brandon's confident expression changes to recognition of complete helplessness. He tries to pull his hand back, to create distance, to re-establish control of the situation. But Mike's grip is immovable. Years of action hero roles, personal training sessions, and Hollywood tough guy posturing prove meaningless when facing someone whose strength comes from functional violence rather than cosmetic fitness. The difference between us, Mike continues, still speaking quietly, is that you pretend to be dangerous for money. I am dangerous for survival. You play characters who can hurt people. I can actually hurt people. Do you understand the difference? Brandon nods, his movie star arrogance replaced by genuine understanding of the power differential between fantasy and reality. Mike's grip demonstrates capabilities that special effects can't replicate, stunt coordinators can't choreograph, and acting classes can't teach. Mike releases Brandon's hand, steps back, maintains eye contact for exactly 3 seconds. Enjoy your evening, Mr. Cross. And thank you for the reminder about the difference between Hollywood and reality. Mike sits back down, returns to his dinner, as if the last 5 minutes were just casual conversation with an acquaintance. Robin reaches for his hand under the table, relief evident in her expression that the situation concluded without violence or scandal. Brandon stands beside their table, massaging feeling back into his hand, his confidence thoroughly shaken by the demonstration of controlled power. The restaurant watches him, waiting to see how Hollywood royalty responds to being humbled by boxing royalty. I apologize, Brandon says finally. I misjudged the situation. Enjoy your dinner. Brandon returns to his own table across the restaurant, where his dinner companions immediately begin questioning what just occurred. But Brandon's explanation is subdued, lacking the bravado that characterized his approach to Mike's table. The incident spreads through Beverly Hills social circles within hours. By the next day, every major entertainment industry figure knows that Brandon Cross challenged Mike Tyson at Spago and learned something about the difference between movie toughness and actual capability. Brandon's career continues successfully, but his approach to real-world confrontations changes permanently. He never again confuses his on-screen persona with his actual abilities, and he becomes notably respectful when encountering athletes whose reputations are built on genuine physical capability rather than acting skill. Mike Tyson taught me something important that night, Brandon tells close friends. Playing tough guys doesn't make you tough. It just makes you good at pretending. There's a difference, and smart people learn that difference before it becomes painful. Robin Givens, despite her complex relationship with Mike, always credits the Spago incident as an example of Mike's restraint rather than his aggression. He could have seriously hurt Brandon, could have created a scandal that would have damaged both their careers. Instead, he made his point with just enough force to educate without humiliating. Wolfgang Puck, Spago's legendary chef and owner, uses the incident as an example of how his restaurant attracts genuine celebrities, rather than just famous people. Mike Tyson showed perfect control that night. He demonstrated power without using it destructively. That's the difference between real strength and theatrical strength. The story becomes Beverly Hills folklore, repeated whenever Hollywood types encounter athletes whose fame is built on actual capability rather than entertainment value. It illustrates the importance of understanding the difference between playing roles and living reality. Spago continues hosting celebrity dinners, but staff members will point to Mike and Robin's former table and tell colleagues about the night a movie star learned that some people's reputations are based on abilities that can't be faked, directed, or edited in post-production. Years later, when Mike's career takes its various turns, Brandon Cross always defends him in Hollywood circles. Mike Tyson could have destroyed me that night, Brandon tells entertainment reporters. Instead, he taught me respect. That says more about his character than any boxing match ever could. The lesson transcends celebrity culture. It's about the difference between image and substance, between playing roles and possessing capabilities, between entertainment and reality. 200 diners learned that lesson watching Mike demonstrate controlled power without destructive violence. Brandon Cross learned it most directly, trading his assumptions about Hollywood superiority for understanding that some forms of fame are built on abilities that deserve genuine respect rather than casual challenge. And Mike Tyson? Mike finished his dinner with Robin, paid the check, and drove home to continue preparing for his next title defense. Because for him, educating a movie star was just another evening proving that real power doesn't need to prove itself. It just needs to be understood by people smart enough to recognize it when they encounter it. The corner table at Spago still hosts celebrity dinners nightly. But veterans will tell newcomers about the night Mike Tyson showed Hollywood that some people's on-screen personas are fantasies, while others' reputations are built on realities that no amount of acting can replicate.